you so much. We have a very, very interesting first session here this morning. As was noted, we will be looking at the issue of internet governance, and that is a topic of peculiar interest. I myself have served in several capacities, as you heard, in the internet governance space, and a lot of that experience hopefully will be shared with you with my colleagues from the Pacific who will be talking in today's session. Many of you may know or may not know the Pacific and the Caribbean share a set of common conditions that shape everything that we will be discussing this morning. We're both collections of small island states dispersed across vast ocean spaces, each grappling with the challenge of building resilient, affordable, sovereign digital infrastructure in environments that are challenging and in an environment in which resources can typically be constrained. So in our presentations this morning, in the panel discussion, in the keynote address, you'll be hearing why this internet governance architecture, its address space, the naming systems, its policy processes, why it was built the way it was, and why it relates to much of the work that we want to do. And the fact that the Commonwealth has brought the Caribbean and the Pacific together, I think, is also very, very important for us to note. The CTO has been at it for well over a century. And this roadshow represents what we can consider to be the continuation of the commitment to ensure that member states in the Commonwealth get to share experiences, get to share ideas, get to share perspectives on how things can be, but also to stand from a place of reality and practicality and candidly discuss how things are right now and why we need to move. And that's what we're looking to do in this context. The Pacific, as we all know, is brimming with ideas, talent, and the drive to build. This is not a region devoid of potential. And what the technology affords is a way, not the only way, but a way to translate that potential into reality. And so issues around this hidden, invisible architecture that the internet provides are precisely the kinds of issues that need to shape and inform development conversations. But not all of the things that we have to discuss will be the sexy, high-level, make the headlines topics. You'll be hearing things about internet numbers, boring. You'll be hearing about internet exchange points, invisible and boring. But these things are actually fundamental to building the things that are exciting and that people touch and that people see and that people want and that people demand. And so what we're hoping to do in the conversation today is to give you this look behind the curtains at the structures and elements that make for the kind of exciting, opportunity-filling, empowering systems and services and products that we come to know as the digital age and the digital economy. Is that okay with everyone? Right, so we'll be taking a look behind the curtains, and we'll be using that look to shape our own ideas and our own plans on how we can move things together and in a very practical way. So I want you to bring that inquiry, that curiosity, that attention to what's happening behind the scenes that I need to be aware of to help me in my decisions on making things happen on stage and in front of the curtains. So to get us going in that regard, we have a keynote address that will be delivered by the Honorable Fred Louis Samuel. He's a member of Parliament and the Special Envoy for ICT. And his opening remarks are going to set the stage for that important conversation. And then we'll be following that up with some presentations from members of what we call the internet community, or the IORGs, the internet organizations. And they'll be sharing with you the work that they're doing as part of this ecosystem of support that allows the internet to run, not just in the Pacific, but in the world. And you get to see the part that we play in making that possible. So please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker this morning for this first session on internet governance, the Honorable and very relevant to our conversation, Member of Parliament and Special Envoy for ICT, Mr. Fred Louis Samuel, to the stage. Let's give him a warm Vanuatu welcome. Good morning.
Secretary General of the CTO, any members or DGs or directors who are present today, any government senior officials, the head of private sector firms who may be present this morning, and the CTO staff who travel all the way from Caribbean and maybe parts of UK to Vanuatu, the officials, director and officials of the Department of Communication and Digital Transformation, and all of us, distinguished panelists, development partners, and colleagues. Firstly, good morning to you all. It is a great honor to address you today on internet governance at a time when Vanuatu is entering a new phase of political stability and strategic transformation. In recent years, our nation has faced political challenges and global shocks. And one reason why we have not moved fast and at the pace that we all wanted is because of instability that has affected our nation over the past few years and decades. But today, we are seeing a renewed commitment in stability, coordination, and long-term national planning. And this stability is now becoming a key enabler of economic growth and digital transformation. Because let me be clear, without stable governance, and I repeat, without stable governance, there will be no sustained digital development in Vanuatu and the rest of the Pacific. Political stability as a key foundation for digital growth. The government of Vanuatu is now taking an all-of-government approach to digital transformation, ensuring that policies, investment, institutions are aligned. Through reforms such as the Digital Transformation Legislative Framework, which was approved by Parliament last year, we are establishing a clear governance, accountability, and coordination across all ICT initiatives across all sectors. This is not just about technology. This is about building trust, strengthening institutions, and creating a predictable environment for investment. And this is exactly what the foreign investors, including local investors, development partners, and of course our citizens and our people need. Some key transformation ICT projects and game changers for Vanuatu when we entered the parliament as of last year and hopefully over the next 4 years. Today, Vanuatu is implementing game-changing ICT infrastructure projects that will redefine our digital landscape. One, the submarine cable connectivity, a new digital lifeline for Vanuatu. As you may have known, on the date of November last year, the Council of Ministers approved the Tam Cable project. The Tam Cable project is a transformational project that will significantly provide second redundancy international connectivity to Vanuatu, but also expand domestic connectivity and bringing fast broadband internet access to our islands, in particular Efate, Sando, Malakula, and Dana, and connect us more strongly to the global digital economy. This will also provide resilience in terms of natural disasters and provide faster connectivity to our islands around Vanuatu. This is more than a cable. It is a foundation for economic growth, digital trade, and resilience, including backup connectivity and disaster preparedness. Government data center and cloud infrastructure. Included in the COM decision that was done in November, also there's a clear direction from this government to actually invest on the cloud, which is already in progress, and DCTD can elaborate more on that. We are aggressively with our partners from Australia investing in data center, and equally well, we are also investing this year in our supplementary budget, the expansion of our government broadband network. We are investing in sovereign data centers and cloud systems to ensure that Vanuatu is secured, protected, and managed within our control. This is critical for national security, public service delivery, and digital trust. Number 3, digital government and smart island vision. Through our digital transformation master plan, moving towards fully integrated e-government services, digital ID and online platform, the Smart Island Initiative bringing technology to rural and outer islands of Vanuatu. This ensures that digital transformation is not limited to Port Vila, but reaches every citizens in every island of Vanuatu. Internet governance in this new era, in this new exciting era. In this context, internet governance becomes even more critical. As we build infrastructure, digital system, we must also ensure strong governance of internet resources, cybersecurity and data protection, fair and digital inclusive policies. We must move from being participant in the internet, and I repeat, we must move from being just participant to becoming influencers and decision makers in global internet governance. Economic growth through digital transformation. With political stability and ICT investment aligned, especially in Vanuatu, we are unlocking the real economic opportunities for e-commerce and digital trade, digital financial services and inclusion, ICT-enabled tourism and SMEs, job creation for our young people. Digital transformation is no longer vision. It is becoming a key driver for GDP growth and national resilience. Regional leadership, a Pacific voice. Vanuatu is also positioning itself as a regional leader in the Pacific. Through stronger partnership, strategic initiative, we are contributing to a collective Pacific voice in global digital governance. Because of if we do not shape the digital future, others will shape it for us. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we are stand at a very defining moment right here in Vanuatu. With political stability as our foundation and digital transformation as our pathway, Vanuatu now is positioned to become a fully connected nation, a secure digital economy, and a leader in the Pacific governance. Let us work together to ensure that the internet remains open, secure, inclusive, and truly beneficial for our people. The future of Vanuatu is digital, and the future starts now. Thank you, Thomas.
Let's give another round of applause, please, to our keynote address. I trust that you're seeing a very clear picture emerging, and one that will be essential for the discussions today. If you look at the arc of what has been happening here and use it as a reflection of what is taking place in the wider region, from the 2022 ransomware attacks that paralyzed the entire government, to the earthquake, to the Starlink response, to the upgraded infrastructure facilities, to now the active plans to move on the Tam cable that has been recently approved, to the work being done in cybersecurity. You see elements of a strategic approach to internet governance and to internet infrastructure development that are foundational to the country's movement. But then you also heard echoed in the keynote address a very clear statement of intent that Vanuatu has to be both a leader within the region and for the globe. And I think that's important for us to frame inside of this morning's conversations as well too, because leadership requires certain responsibility elements to be put in place. And that means that there has to be more than one actor if the country is to be a leader in the space. And that requires the approach that you're seeing in this meeting, which is a multi-stakeholder approach. Multiple voices, multiple organizations coming together for a common cause. And in this case, the common cause is development, our development and our region's development. And those things become our collective responsibility. So as I invite the panel to come and join me on stage, both virtually and yeah, we're going to move to our next segment for this session, and that is the voices of the internet organization sharing their perspectives. In the room, we have Mr. Save Vosia, who is coming up on stage now to join me. He is the Vice President, Stakeholder Engagement for AREN Oceania. Let's give him a warm welcome. And then virtually, we have Mr. Srinivas Chendai. He is from APNIC. He will be joining us virtually. And we have Ms. Nole Francesca de Guzman. She's a Senior Director, Regional Affairs and Engagement at APAC, at Internet Society. And do we have them all online? Can I just get some signal from someone that they're online? Are we good to go? I'm just waiting on a signal. And while we're waiting on that signal, yeah, 2 thumbs up. Fantastic. Let me also give a warm welcome to those who are joining us on the live stream of this morning's event. Welcome. I hope the conversations so far have been engaging and useful to you. So let's dive straight into our panel discussion. And you'll have the context all set now. We have, from the keynote address, a clear sense of the strategies that are taking place locally. We have an understanding that beyond any technical implementation, there is a, let's call it a philosophical desire to serve as a leadership voice and a leadership reference for the region and the world. And that's not just noble, that is also a necessity. And you heard a comment that I want us to flag inside of this conversation. We don't want our future to be shaped by others. We want to be the definers of the shape and formation of our movement to the next stage of development. So we have all of these things happening in the context of internet development. And so this group in this conversation is going to be giving us a view into what some of the organizations, the global organizations that are responsible for managing and stewarding the internet, what they're up to. And up first will be Mr. Shendai from APNIC. Let's get him on screen and get his.
All right. Thank you for that introduction, Bill. I hope I'm audible and you can see my slides. Thumbs up or yes? I have unmuted myself. Can you hear me? I can hear you, yes. Thanks, Noel. Sure. I can hear you very clearly and yeah. Oh, that's good. Great. Thank you. May I start? Thank you again, Bill, for the introduction. Honorable Fred Louis Samuel, Member of Parliament and Special Envoy for ICT. Distinguished guests, government colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Brisbane, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. As it was introduced, I'll be introducing APNIC, one of the global organization, works regionally within Asia Pacific. APNIC stands for the Asia Pacific Network Information Center. We will explore its role, mission, and how it supports the internet community across our region, including the Pacific, where this conference is happening. And on the internet ecosystem, APNIC represents the technical layer. So my name is Srinivas Sani Chendi. I work for APNIC as a strategic relations senior advisor. And my colleague sitting on the stage there, Save, we both started with APNIC at the same time, but he moved on and I'm still with APNIC here and working for APNIC in the region. So I just want to give a brief introduction of the ecosystem, and then I'll dive more into what APNIC does and APNIC stewardship for the Asia Pacific region. So let's start with the global framework. APNIC is one of the 5 regional internet registries, as you can see on the slide there, responsible for distributing IP addresses and related resources. And each RIA serves a specific region, ensuring fair and efficient allocation of these IP address resources. Now, globally, we have 5 RIAs at the present moment. Asia Pacific Network Information Center, or APNIC, we call it APNIC, not APNIC. APNIC is a neutral, not-profit organization founded in 1993 in Japan, and then it moved to Australia, and currently it's located in Brisbane. APNIC vision is quite straightforward and simple. We want to see the internet a global, open, stable, and secure internet for all. And this guides us all our activities from resource management to community engagement and stewardship. Now, the region that we served covers the entire Asia Pacific, comprising 56 economies, as you can see on the slide there, throughout Asia and Oceania region. APNIC classifies these economies into 4 sub-regions, mainly East Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and Oceania. This is complete and official list of all the economies that APNIC serves. APNIC serves a broader community, which includes, of course, the members like ISPs, enterprises, and stakeholders, including governments, which most of you are representing there today, and individuals as well, those who use internet. Our membership model ensures inclusivity and is open for all who requires the IP number resources. This visual represents APNIC's community engagement. As you can see, we interact with quite a number of organizations within the region as well as globally. And my colleague Noel is here from Internet Society. We work along with them very well, collaborating a lot of activities in the Pacific region. And I believe she will be talking more about that. But yeah, you can see, it's a very diverse region, the APNIC region, and our work is quite important in this region, as it was alluded by the minister as well, for the development of the Pacific, for the development of the region, and for the development of the global South. So where do these IP addresses come from? Here's how IP addresses flow globally, from standards bodies like IETF, which is Internet Engineering Task Force. From there, it comes to IANA, which is a department under ICANN, and Save will be talking more about ICANN. Then these resources get allocated in chunks to the RARs, the 5 RARs. And the RARs we allocate to our members. As you can see in the APNIC side, we allocate to our members. We also allocate to some of our national internet registries. We have currently 7 in the region, and who then distribute those resources to their members and customers further down the chain. So on the internet, we have 2 protocols mainly, the names and numbers. Names are for humans and numbers are for devices or machines that we use. So behind this every name, there's a number which represents where the internet is actually located. So for us, we use the names because we easily remember the names, the domain names, the email IDs, we easily remember. But for machines to take the traffic from one point to the other point, they need the numbers to move the traffic between the networks. So APNIC provides regional stewardship of internet number resources by allocating and registering IP addresses and autonomous system numbers for the Asia Pacific region. This role focuses on custodianship and maintaining accurate, trusted public registry data rather than ownership of these resources. So no one owns these resources. These are leased out or these are given out for the duration of their requirement. The internet number resource policies in the Asia Pacific are developed through open multi-stakeholder bottom-up process. APNIC's role is to act as a neutral steward that implements and safeguards policies once community consensus is reached. We organize open policy meetings throughout the year, twice a year, where the entire community, including the governments, the regulators, everyone. It's a true multi-stakeholder policy discussion where everyone comes and discusses the proposals related to the internet number resources. And that once the consensus is reached by the community, then the APNIC will implement and safeguard those policies and create awareness among our members. So this is the policy development life cycle of APNIC. Every RAR have its own life cycle development, but this is for the APNIC. And as you can see, there's multiple ways that you can interact with the policy development process, and there's multiple
stewardship programs or participating in the meetings, this is an organization set up for you. They play a crucial role in supporting internet development in the Pacific region. Our next speaker spent most of her career helping governments to develop
Good morning. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, Honorable Fred Samuel, distinguished guests, friends and colleagues. I know we have, I recognize quite a few names from the agenda. I'm very, very sad that I'm not able to join you in person today. I have had the pleasure of visiting Port Villa a number of years back, and I only have fond memories of my stay there. Vanuatu is one of the first places that I visited when I began working for the Internet Society, and back then, internet governance discussions were already very vibrant, and I'm really delighted to see the momentum being sustained, and there's continued interest to participate in deciding how digital technologies shape our lives and shape our communities. I do have a slide deck. Will the room be putting it on screen, or should I do that myself? All right. Fantastic. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of try and go through the slides. I'm not seeing the slides on my screen. So please just let me know once they're up on the screen. Sorry. Okay, let me do that. Sorry, this is one of those things I know none of us like when it comes to remote speaking, is that we have to spend the first 5 minutes figuring things out. Okay, let me see. Oh my goodness. So it seems I have to adjust my system settings. I'm so sorry about this. I wouldn't insist on a slide, except it has a few links because I'll be talking about opportunities that oh, hang on. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. It seems I am not able to share my screen. Yes, I can. I can. What I can do is perhaps if because it has a few links as well, and maybe yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. So let me try to do this without the okay. Hopefully, we all have a vivid imagination. Okay, so internet governance. One of the things I learned traveling in the Pacific Islands is how close-knit communities are. You know, the dialogue and consultation, having having communities actively participate in governance is in the DNA of Pacific Islanders. So this thing that we call a multi-stakeholder approach, we actually already practice it. You know, in not only in digital governance, but in everyday governance. But we also know that beyond our communities, people may do things differently, processes may be more formalized. We'll start to encounter jargon or terms or technical terms, unfamiliar terms that we haven't really encountered before. We start to encounter actors and organizations we might not have worked with. And even if we manage to get resources to participate in these processes, in these meetings, we might still feel like we need to build skills to properly represent our communities in regional and global meetings and fora. And this is where organizations like the Internet Society can help. So the Internet Society is a global charity. We were set up more than 30 years ago by the researchers who developed the basic protocols that made it possible for computers to talk to each other remotely and over long distances and almost in real time back then. It's a set of protocols called TCP/IP, which is the basis for what we know now as the global internet. So core to the objectives of the Internet Society has always been to make sure that the internet benefits everyone. So for about 30 years now, a lot of our work has really involved building capacity and helping users make the most of their internet experience. When it comes to internet governance, we have an e-learning platform, which has a lot of courses. Some of them are more technical, like routing security. Some of them are more policy oriented. And one of them is on internet governance. So you can take these courses by yourself, or if you're an organization, you're a school, a government agency, or a business, and you want to offer this to your class, to your staff, you can talk to us and arrange a dedicated course at your own timing. One of the things that we do, for example, is that we offer the internet governance course as a moderated course, meaning there's a moderator and a tutor that comes online with the participants. We offer this to the fellows of the Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy, which ICANN organizes every year. And we also offer this to the regional IGF fellows, the Asia Pacific Regional IGF fellows, before they start their fellowship. And with these courses, when you complete them, you also get a certificate of completion if you'd like for this to be part of your qualifications. Another opportunity, so there's the online learning. Another opportunity is fellowships. So the Internet Society offers fellowships mainly for young leaders, so those who are starting out in the digital space. The fellowships, one of the fellowships that we offer is a youth ambassadors fellowship program, which is oriented towards internet governance. It's quite holistic because a lot of the fellowships that we offer is quite holistic. So you not only learn about the digital space, you also you can acquire leadership skills, etc. You have a mentor. And the ambassadors program in particular gives young people the opportunity to be actively involved in one internet governance forum, meaning to be physically present. So you can get young people can get firsthand experience of how these meetings and these processes go, and to actively participate, of course. The applications for our fellowships open once a year. So the ambassadors program opens towards November and December for the following year. Another fellowship that you might be interested in is the early career fellowship. I think that just closed. The application window just closed, but the mid-career fellowship just opened. So please do check that out. The link is on my slide deck. And it's a 6-month program, and it's quite intensive. So you do need a bit of time to do it. I know some people do it after they work or on the weekends. We also partner with other universities like the Oxford Internet Institute of the University of Oxford. So you can also benefit from their expertise. A third opportunity. So we have the online learning, we have fellowships, and we also have grants. So for organizers of local internet governance events, if you're a national or regional initiative that is registered with the IGF, the Internet Governance Forum, you can apply for funding to help you hold a local or a Pacific IGF. If you are organizing a school of internet governance, that funding is also available to you. So there are quite a few opportunities. I should also emphasize that this is not exclusive to the Internet Society. There are other organizations like APNIC and ICANN that offer similar programs. I mentioned that ICANN co-organizes a PIGA. APNIC has supported various local internet governance initiatives over the years. And I know that all of us, all of the ISAR orgs, all of the orgs in the room would really love to have more participation from Vanuatu and the Pacific Islands. So I hope you'll be encouraged to look into these and get in touch with us if you have questions. And last but not the least, one of the best ways to connect with the global and the regional internet communities is to become an ISOC member. You can be an individual member, you can join a chapter. ISOC has a Pacific Islands chapter, PIC ISOC, and Andrew has been one of our long-standing and respected leaders. I think Andrew is in the room. You also get a chance to join or form special interest groups based on the issues that are close to your heart, whether it's accessibility or online safety. And you can convene people and experts from different countries who have the same interests as you, and you can do a project or you can do activities together. So all in all, it's a good way to keep updated on what's happening in the internet space. So please also consider that. It's free, and I think sign up is quite straightforward now. The link is also on my slides. And with that, thank you very much for the opportunity to join you today. I hope I can get a chance to visit your wonderful country soon and see you all in person.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Noel. Appreciate it. So you had the first speaker talking to us from Brisbane, the second from Manila, I believe, yes? And the next speaker is coming all the way to us from across the stage, and that is Mr. Save Vosie of ICANN. Now, I want you to know few people in this room have done more, have done more or over a longer period to ensure that the Pacific has a voice in global institutions that govern the internet's core infrastructure than our next speaker. He's Vice President for Stakeholder Engagement at ICANN Oceania, and the position is one that he has held since 2012, having joined the organization since 2006. Before that, he served as the Policy Development Manager and Pacific Liaison at APNIC, and you heard that mentioned earlier, and was a manager at the Pacific Islands Telecommunications Association. So a wealth of experience in this subject that he's about to share with us, and in the role that ICANN is playing in the region. And he will give you some more insight into this, but I want us to understand why we need to hear from Save this morning. The domain name system that ICANN manages touches every single person in this room who uses the internet. And its evolution has real implications for Pacific communities, Pacific languages, and Pacific digital identity. So he'll take us through what that evolution looks like and what it means in terms of the opportunities for us as we lie ahead. So let's please warmly welcome to the podium, Save. So in case any of you thought that only the online participants would take long to set up their presentation.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So we had to, again, get him, the owner of the computer, to come and open it up. So sorry about that. So thank you very much to the organizers for having me here today to speak to you. And the theme of this roadshow is really about sharing. So from ICANN, I'd love to share with you how the DNS landscape has changed a bit and some of the opportunities, not only for the Pacific, but globally as well. So a little bit about us. ICANN was founded in 1998 as a non-profit public benefit corporation. So ICANN's mission really is to ensure the stable and secure operation of the Internet's unique identifier systems. So when you talk about the unique identifiers, we're talking about IP addresses, the names, the protocols. And Sunny, my colleague from APNIC, has spoken about the IP addressing bit. So one of the things that ICANN does is really to coordinate the allocation and assignment of names in the root zone of the domain name system. The acronym is DNS. We'll talk about the DNS. So, and coordinates the development and implementation of policies concerning the registration of second-level domain names in the generic top-level domain. So here, the GTLD, I'll talk about the GTLD. So as Sunny was saying, with APNIC, they assign and allocate names, the IP address names throughout the region in Asia Pacific. So IP addresses and autonomous system numbers to the internet service providers and network operators. So when we look at the DNS, how, in a simple terms on how we navigate the internet, the devices that connect on the internet, they need IP addresses. It's unique IP addresses to connect and find each other online. As Sunny might have mentioned, there's two protocols, IPv4 and IPv6. And when you look at these numbers, it's really hard for us as humans to remember these numbers to get to services online. So this is where the DNS comes in. It allows the translation of names to numbers, because for us humans, it's easy for us to remember names. So when you look at this example, www.icann.org, it translates to 192.0.43.7. Now I'm gonna just level set again in terms of the namespace. When you look at the namespace, it's almost like a database of inverted tree. We have the root at the top, and it has a null label. And then you have other levels, like the top level nodes, second level nodes, and the third level nodes. And at these nodes, there are labels like com, coffee, UK, and these top level domains are managed by different administrations or different entities. And my topic for today is really to share with you, what's happening at the top level. So DNS components, when you look at it, it's almost very similar to this, where, if you, with your devices, you need to go to a website, you will connect to your ISP. Your ISP will, assign you an IP address, which is unique to your device, and it has a MAC address. And you will request which website so that you can go to. And the recursive resolver, which is your ISP, will request the authoritative name servers. If it's not cached in their name server, it will ask the root server. And then the root servers will ask the TLD top level server, and the top level server will ask the second level. And then it resolves, and the query is answered back to the recursive resolver and then back to your device. So it really happens in really quick time. And many of these DNS resolutions is happening globally in real time. It's, for millions and trillions of resolutions. I want to take us now to the DNS provisioning, where we have contracts and who are the players in the domain names industry. We've got ICANN. We contract out to the top-level domain registries, and these are called the registry operators or service providers. A very famous one is the .com. So we have contracts with .com, and for .com to sell names, they would have registrars, and these registrars would have agreements with the registry operator, and they would also have resellers so that they can sell to the registrants, the owners of the domain names. So in ICANN, in the generic top-level domain space, we have accreditation program that we have with registrars as well, for them to be able to sell domain names in the GTLD space. They need to be accredited. And so there's agreements as well between the different players, as you see in this ecosystem. So, a few years back, before 2012, there was only about 2 dozens of top-level domains. So in 2012, when ICANN opened up the 2012 round to allow entities and organizations to apply for top-level domains, we had an expansion of this. So we also introduced internationalized domain names, because initially everything was in alphabets, acronyms like, A to Z, 3 characters or more. So there's another TLD, which is the country code, top-level domain registries, like here in Vanuatu, you've got 2-letter country code, like the VU, but I will not be touching that in my presentation today. Today, I will just focus very much on the generic space, which is 3 characters or more, or internationalized domains as well. So the expansion really happened in 2012, where we had over 1,200 GTLD names. So as I was saying, from a couple of dozens of names to now 1,200 names that's been added onto the root of the DNS. And you see that the characters are even longer. You've got internationalized domain names for those language communities that they could apply for. In the Asia Pacific, we received about 303 applications. And so what were the use cases for them applying for this TLD? For them, some of them that it served some cultural, geographic, or language communities. It provided those communities to create their own space online and to build trust and awareness of the brand if they're a brand top-level domain. Now I want to bring us to this year. We have a new round of new GTLD program, which is called the 2026 program. Just to summarize, this program to reach this stage, it had meant that at ICANN we have worked over the years to work on the policies and for the community to agree on how we can implement these policies so that we can come to this stage where we are opening up the new round. So the new GTLD program, again, will create a means for prospective registry operators to apply for new GTLDs, offering new options for consumers in the market and creating significant potential for new users and benefits to internet users across the globe. The application round for this will open on the 30th of April. And so it's only open to businesses and entities so that they can apply for this. Some of the new features that we are adding is that there is an applicant support program to ensure that those entities who might have financial constraints, they could apply through under this program. That one has closed now. Also, we've added a standalone registry service provider. We understand that some applicants will not have the skills to run their own registry. So there's an opportunity here for them to appoint or work with some registry service providers to run the registry for them. We are also, as part of this initiative, we're adding opportunities for language communities to apply for their own top-level domains in IDNs, like internationalized domain names. And so we now have about 26 scripts that can be applied for, and this is representing about 380 languages. And those IDNs, they can also have variants. So the GTLD opportunity is really, it's for businesses and brands, as you know, from 2012 to now 26. There's so many businesses that have been created. We know that there'll be new use cases as well. Even communities and cultures are interested in having top-level domains for their own communities. Geographies like cities and regions, some of them are ready to have representation of their cities, governments, and targeted customers. What are the benefits for doing this? Again, we feel that for some brands, they might want to have brand management within their own top level. When they want to roll out new products, they can also label some of those products with under their TLD. One of the important things is really they control the policies of the top level domain, and there's flexibility and creativity. As I was saying, for localization, for communities, you can also have a top-level domain for your communities if you feel like. And then there's enhanced security mechanisms you can build in. And for those that want to monetize this service, there's an opportunity as well there. Now, There is a GTLD applicant journey. There's about 7 stages at the moment because we are like a month away from opening. We understand that there is a lot to be done for those potential applicants. They have to assemble and put together documentation that's required so that they can participate in this program. Now, this slide is quite busy, but I will skip right through it because of the time, right? Some of the requirements of the GTL application is really, for them to have compliance obligations and legal readiness. The costs for this program is $227,000 US dollars for evaluation fee, and there will always be ongoing costs as well when it comes to evaluations. Some of the challenges that people might face is that this is quite complex. It requires a team for you to put together to work on documentation and also to look at the evaluation processes. Some of the expertise required, for your team, you need legal expertise, financial has to be in order, strategic, technical, sorry about that. How operationally sound are you? Can you run the registry yourself, or will you assign somebody else or have an agreement with another registry provider, and also work on policy and governance? So as I was saying, the cost is $227,000. You can select a registry service provider. So it's frozen. Okay. Yep. And for those that want to apply, there is an applicant guidebook for you to download. Look through that applicant guidebook. Create an ICANN account, and there is an online system as well for TLD application management system. And just some of the timelines. So the submission is opening on the 30th of April and closes on the 12th of August. That's 104 days for that to open. I'll just close that. Thank you. Some of the resources.
Thank you, Sabe. And apologies for this screen. Let's give him a round of applause. Yeah, I think the power affected a bank of the LED panels, but I hope you got the gist of the presentation. There are opportunities available through ARIN for us to have our own digital identity firmly and properly established online. All of the presentations will be made available to you, correct? And so you'll have an opportunity to go through them and review. So we've had, let me just take stock of where we are so far. We've had a keynote address from MP Samuel, and of course, those of you who know the story, started in telecom and is now looking at telecommunications and the internet through the lens of politics and policy. And that history is important, and it really directs us as to where we're going in this next segment. So we started with this view of what we want to see nationally, but also a signal to what we want to see as a region in terms of being able to set up the necessary infrastructure, define the necessary policy, and take our place in the global internet, but from the standpoint of meeting local needs. And so we heard that in the keynote address, and then you heard from the internet organizations and the work that they're doing to serve the development of the internet in the Pacific. We heard from APNIC, we heard from Internet Society, and we just heard from ICANN, and all of these organizations are doing considerable work to ensure that the right things are in place, not just in terms of technology, but in terms of the understanding, in terms of the ability to make the right decisions. The panel discussion that is going to follow, I'm going to say thank you, and let's give one last round of applause to the entire panel. Those of you who are still online, thank you so much for sharing the work that your organizations are doing. For our panel, we want to frame it in this way. I want to invite Andrew, if he's here. Yep, Andrew, Doreen, and Dalcy to come on stage and join me. We wanted to say something before we bring these panelists online, and so you understand what we want to do with this session. In that first phase of this morning's program, we got a high-level view of what the international organizations are doing. We started with the grounding it inside of what the priorities are locally. What this panel will now do is take a look at what these things mean. These are the practitioners who understand what internet governance looks like from within our institutions. And you can join me on stage. 1, 2, 3 seats are for you. From the regulatory environments and from the communities where the consequences of the decisions that are made about the internet and about the technology are impacting communities every day. So we have Andrew, who serves as an officer in charge of ICT and internet governance at the Telecommunications Radio Broadcasting Regulator here in Vanuatu. He's the person responsible for translating internet governance frameworks into regulatory reality. Is that correct and safe to say, Andrew? Translating internet governance frameworks into regulatory reality. And then we have Doreen, who brings to this panel a perspective of a consultant who has worked across the Pacific on digital development challenges, currently with Palladium International. Her work sits at the intersection of policy, capacity building, and implementation. And those are exactly the domains that we want to look at here. And then Dalcy, who consults with Welchman Keen, bringing a deep expertise in Pacific digital governance to the conversation. Fair enough? All right, so let's see, in terms of the session here now, how we ground the things that we have heard into some operational truth. And I want to begin, if you will, with some questions directed at each one of you, and then we can flow from there. Andrew, first up, Vanuatu has made some extremely remarkable strides at the national ICT policy level, a functioning internet governance forum, a regulatory framework that is agile enough to see Starlink coming in within weeks of the earthquake in 2024. From where you sit, what has that experience revealed about the relationship between good regulation and internet resilience? And of course, in introducing, you can also tell us a bit about yourself, so those who are not familiar would get a sense of who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Devil. And yes, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our keynote speaker, Honorable Fred Samuel, and our guests. Yes, I just wanted to start by saying, I think Save and Sandy have set a stage, and Noel have set the stage for what we can see globally. But for us, we'll try to contextualize it to the local where we can understand it. So for internet governance, I think we have had the internet since the mid-90s, and eventually it was run by telecom back then. You could have an email address, you could have a website through the .vu. Not until 2019 that we had the transition from telecom to TRBR after the act was enacted in 2019. And .vu, as Save was mentioning, is the country code top level domain for Vanuatu. So in short, they would call it a CCTLD, country top level domain. And it's assigned to Vanuatu. And in 2019, after that transition, we were able to have a contract with a registry provider. And that contract was based on security and availability of the resource. And as we speak today, .vu is available in various, with various registrars locally. And I want to announce also that this year we have signed a contract with VFC, the registrar of company, to be the local, also a local domain name registrar for .vu. So that is sort of a new development, and we want to thank VFC for that partnership. Yes, so our role at TRBR is to manage the .vu, make sure it's secure enough for businesses and personal users online, to have the secure online space that can be trusted at the .vu level. So anyone can, in Vanuatu, can register a domain. Anyone internationally can also register a .vu domain. They are available across the globe. So for TRBR, we are working on the how to manage them in policy operation, the operational policies, and that is our role under the Act, to properly manage the resource on behalf of Vanuatu. One of the other things that comes up, I think you've heard from Noel, is the public engagement or the multi-stakeholder engagements that we had. I think along the way in .view, we have engaged the community, internet community locally on certain policies, and even the regulation that we had gone through a process of multi-stakeholder engagement on that. And that has been something that has been going on for the last 10 years. We have an annual regulatory internet governance forum. And as we speak today, we also have the responsibility to look after the Vanuatu Internet Governance Forum, as that was one of the responsibilities that was given to TRBR. And having said that, I think when we have these forums, the Internet Governance Forum, it's multi-stakeholder, and this is where all the stakeholders, all the community can participate in the discussions, and we look at discussions of how the internet governance can be better served for the people of Vanuatu, and there's a lot of topics covered in those forums every year. So we will have one more this year. At the Pacific level, I think you've heard from Noel that we have Pacific Internet Governance Forum run by the Pacific Islands Internet Society, PICAISOC. So that runs every year as well. And last year the last one was held in Samoa. It was a multi-stakeholder discussion, and we also had other events like the Pacific CCTLD community has the chance to meet at that level as well. And also, yes, for those of you who are interested to join the community of ISOC, you can register and choose the Pacific Island chapter as your web, where you can register. I think
Okay,
I'll stop here.
Yeah, appreciate that, and thanks for the detail, because it leads very well into my next question. So a lot of work is going on in the area of public awareness or stakeholder awareness and capacity building. And my next question is to you, Doreen. Capacity building itself is a term that we use a lot in this space. And there's an important distinction between building the capacity to participate in governance processes and building the capacity to shape the governance processes. From your experience working across the Pacific, where is that distinction most keenly or accurately felt? And what conditions need to be in place for communities here to move from just being able to understand it to being able to move to a place where we can actually shape it? You can use a microphone, yeah.
Okay, thank you too much lo opportunity where Mr. take part lo panel discussion this morning. Topic Mr. lo internet governance. Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. In fact, I was informed just a few days ago that I'll be one of the panelists, and I'm actually had done a work on the internet research in Vanuatu. So I have some findings which are very much in line with the presentation of this morning. So in terms of capacity building, I think I'll come to that, but let me just touch on some few points that it's highlighted in the findings. Thank you, okay. Okay, the internet assessment that I had involved with which I was the team leader, and my two colleagues here were part of the assessment as well. And it was based on the UNESCO framework called the ROMEX, which stands for R stands for right, and O stands for openness, A stands for access, M stands for multi-stakeholder, and then X is cross-cutting. So I'll just highlight some of the points which the findings had illustrated and make reference to examples from the country. Okay, under the right pillar, while the Constitution of Vanuatu protects freedom of expression, generally there is still a cap in specific laws that protects these rights in the digital space. I would make few examples. One is the Constitution of Vanuatu protects freedom of expression as we understand in Article 5. However, there is no specific law that clearly defines how this right applies when someone's post is taken down by a platform or censored by a service provider. So there is a need for a dedicated legislation which would provide a clear legal process for citizens to challenge digital censorship. Hemi one finding. Another one is it's the addressing online gender-based violence. The report highlights that women and girls are disproportionately targeted by online harassment and revenge. The example is before the Harmful Digital Communication Act came into play, which is it was endorsed last year in 2024. Victims often had no clear legal path to get their intimate images removed quickly from the social media. So it can need that there is a need of legislation translate the right to freedom from inhuman treatment into specific digital protectors, allowing all court to order the immediate removal of harmful content. Another finding is on the protection of journalists and whistleblowers. The journalists in Vanuatu often use internet to investigate corruption. Without specific digital protection, they could be targeted with defamation or lawsuits just for sharing a link or a digital document. So there is a need for legislation that specifically protects digital journalism to help them ensure that internet remains a tool for transparency and accountability. So there's a saying that says, trust is the currency of digital economy. If people are afraid that their data will be stolen or that they will be harassed for speaking their minds, they will not use the internet for business or education. Therefore, these acts, cybercrime, data protection, with the Harmful Communications Act, are not just legal hurdles, but they are the infrastructure of trust. So I will jump from the openness to multi-stakeholder participation.
Yes, we'll have to do it in the second round, if you don't mind. We have a second round, so I just want to get the three things.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you. All right, so next, yes. And we'll be coming back to those points, and we're not leaving them. So I think the findings of the report are crucial. Can I ask, is the full report available to everyone? Right, wonderful. So next up we have Dalcy, and I want to ask her this question. Internet governance operates on a multi-stakeholder model. We've heard it this morning several times from the speakers. Governments, the technical community, and civil society, and the private sector are all supposed to be at the table. But for those working in the Pacific day-to-day, where is the gap between what those frameworks promise and what communities are actually experiencing? In other words, are the initiatives having meaningful impact? If so, how? If not, why? You can use my microphone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I share my views on the questions you ask, first and foremost, thank you so much, CTO, for the invitation. I want to acknowledge the presence of Honorable MP, the CTO Secretary General, other dignitaries, and other leaders who are present this morning. So, yes, I was part of internet governance since 2009. And my views this morning is much more the progress, not just in the Pacific, but I want to base it in Vanuatu. So we have done a lot in the internet governance forum, the discussions at the regional level, the international level, and even at the national level where TRBR has been focusing on internet governance, thanks to TRBR. But from the works that I have done through the Smart Island initiative, I have learned that there's still a lot to be done in that context. The impact is, yes, there are impact, but it's very minimal. There is a gap between us who understand the context of internet governance, between where the experts down to the leaders and to the very community leaders, there is gap in there. And I think for this morning presentation, I really want to make a point that if this gap could be bridged, and if so, how can we bridge these gaps? Our initiative, our projects, I think, are still hanging at where the leaders are. Okay, how to connect or to translate to where we want to see to impact, to positively impact the users of internet is the area that we should focus on. Yes, we have been talking about capacity building since then. It's like 10 years ago, whether we have actually provide those specific capacity building to the targeted people is the area that we should have a look at and find out where the areas of improvement and who should participate in this kind of activities or this training. Additionally, in terms of, let's say, policies and regulations, there are gaps, I must say, whether it's at the regional level, but I could see it. And because I work with the key leaders in the community, and I could tell there's a lot we need to do, not just to protect them, but to also educate them and to tell them the benefits, what type of benefits in terms of businesses or social development each of our users could get from what we are promoting. For Vanuatu, we have progress, and thanks to the DCDT and TRBR and all those who have been part of the internet governance and ICT days and so forth, we have progressed, with our policies, with our regulations, but there's still more to be done, especially at the regulatory framework. Now that you have heard from the MP who's pointing out what Vanuatu is expecting in the coming years, and there is a big gap in there. Yes, in terms of policy guidance, but I think it's much more translating the policies and regulations to the community experiences. That is where the area of improvement is. I appreciate the works that we have done so far, and I could see the same people who have worked very hard to help in this context. But there is more to be done on specific areas. I want to point out, especially for Vanuatu, looking at the digital transformation. And if we are going through the digital transformation, and if we are rolling out a digital transformation master plan, I think there is some specific areas that we must work on. And this is the regulations and educational awareness. So in here, I would like to see, for example, the people, the students at the senior cycle, can education provide this kind of, the awareness and education, or even at the rollout in the curriculum? I think in that way, we could start to bridge the gap. Otherwise, we will continue, because there is gap, I can say. Also with a regulatory framework, I think we need to move faster with this one. If there is a best practice somewhere in the region, let's say in the Caribbean, maybe it's good to share it. It's good to share with the people from the Pacific and where can Vanuatu could benefit from it. I think this is very, very important. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. What I hope the conversation is making clear is that we have the institutions, we have the evolving frameworks, and we have the growing policy infrastructure in place. You heard from the report, and we hope to hear a bit more about it. I want to open the floor in the remaining time that we have. We just have about just over 10 minutes left in this session to open the floor for questions, because I think what is required now is a coordinated response that has to involve a wider group of stakeholders. And you heard all of the speakers asking, appealing for more support, become involved, let your voices be heard. And so this is one chance for us to let our voices be heard. And let's ask some questions that we can pose both to the panel, but also to ourselves in the room, and see where that takes us. So who's going to be first? And do we have like a microphone that they will be using to ask the questions so that those online can hear it? Help me with this. Just put your hand up if you have a question, and I will repeat it. Anyone? If you don't have some questions, I'll pelt at the panelists. Yes, MP.
Thank you, distinguished panelists, for information provided. My question is for Save, sorry, Save. I forgot Save, my apologies. I almost forgot your name. My good friend for a long time, since Telecom Vanuatu days. My question is directed at Save. You know, some names are very important to a nation. It could be the name of the village, a custom name, traditional name, or even the country name. Do you have any policies or regulations in place whereby you don't leave it open, but you collaborate, you liaise with sovereign governments through the regulators or policymakers to ensure that the government have priority over those names before anyone, any commercial, private, or individual entity can apply for those names? I'm sure you probably know where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, Minister. So, yeah, the questions really was what we do with the reserved names. There's a category in ICANN where we reserve names that has been put forward by countries, even through the country code CCTLDs, we use those reserved names. But when there is an applicant that puts forward an application, there will be an opportunity for the community, including governments, to participate and look at what has been applied for, and if it becomes contentious, or if there's a string that has been applied for that you think that you need to dispute, you can put that forward within the ICANN process. So there's mechanisms for that, and then we need your understanding and also your explanation why this is contentious or something that you want to discuss with ICANN. So yes, we've got processes for that.
Thank you, Save. I'll just add that in the context of the .vu, so in .vu, we also consider the cultural and names. We have a list of reserved names, but currently we did a number of consultations with the local communities, and it's still ongoing. We have a draft names policy, Honorable Brett, but we still go out. We're going to go to right at the community level for Vanuatu's context to find out if there's any names that they want, because at the moment all names are available except some of them that we have been reserved prior to the transition. So there's names, there's some work going on protecting the names locally. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, did that answer the questions? Anyone else? Yep, we have a...
Hello. morning. I have a question. It's put onto the floor. A few years ago, everybody was pushed to use IPv6 because IPv4 was running out. Can I?
Can we know how much of IPv6 is
Specific is
in the
being used
Pacific?
in the Pacific.
Do we know how much IPv6 adoption has taken place in the Pacific region?
And why are we still using IPv4? Because there was a big push to move towards.
Is Sunny
that.
still online? I'm not sure if he's still online. Sunny would be the best position to answer that question. On the question has to do with how much V6 adoption has taken place in the Pacific region, and to what extent is V4 still?
I can help maybe explain as well with my role in the Pacific Network Operator Groups, where we do a lot of sharing with the ISPs that come together. So in terms of APNIC's service region for the Pacific, I believe that they have allocated IPv6 address space to all their ISP members in the region. So there's no doubt that they hold IPv6 space, but in terms of deploying and giving out to consumers, that's another issue, because sometimes they still say they have a lot of V4, where it has run out in other regions, they still have a lot of V4 that they're holding to run the network. But I think APNIC now is looking at, working with their members in the region to make sure that they can also deploy. And there was a program that they put together, or an initiative they put together with the Tonga Communications, where they've fully deployed IPv6 as well. So I'm sure that they will be working with other ISPs to do that as well.
Yeah, I can add as well to a lot of the movement to V6 requires a level of technical training that has to reach down to the unit engineer level, and that takes time. So all of the organizations that spoke this morning have some program or the other that is involved in helping engineers, the ones who actually manage the networks, to make that transition from designing the networks using V4, the older IP protocol, to designing them using V6. The thinking around that design is fundamentally different. One is designing out of scarcity, one is designing in almost unlimited abundance. And that training takes time to get into the psyche of network engineers. And that process is very much in progress.
Thank you. I just want to add to the question. So TRBR has also been monitoring the uptake of IPv6 in the country. I think when Dulcie was regulator, we tried to impose that regulatory, but we just allow that to sort of naturally translate. But I just wanted to say that this year, at the end of April, we're going to run a IPv6 training, and we have around 40 spaces for the community. I'm talking to ISPs or any technical network operators that you are interested. Watch out, just have stay tuned for the announcement. APNIC is going to run this training for 3 days, not only to understand V6, but how to implement V6. Thank you.
And this is Sunny. I'm still online. I was listening to your conversations there.
Sorry, me again. I have a question with regards to the .vu domain. Historically, it was held under TVL, who managed it, and there were complaints by other providers that it was, how shall I say, they weren't able to register the domains. Now that it's moved out from TVL being the CCTLD to TRBR, can you tell us how many domains do we have in total, like statistics?
Thank you, Aneti, for the question. Since we had that opportunity to manage the resource, there's been a very slow growth. I think we just over 2,000 names. I think it's because maybe people are not fully aware, and one of the awareness that we did was to have that contract with VFSC, who is the registrar of businesses, so that anyone who registers a business there or is going to renew the business, they also have the opportunity to register a domain name. So that's part of the growth initiatives that we are doing. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to add to it from the report?
I just want to add on it's also part of the findings of the internet assessment is that in Vanuatu, we are still on IPv4. So it was a recommendation for the government to take up an assessment if Vanuatu is ready to migrate or to transition from IPv4 to IPv6. In this context, DNS will be impacted, which will see a lot of growth in the digital transition. And I will make a classic example on the local content because at the moment we have only French and English that is on the internet, but we would like to have our Bislama or our own local dialect to be able to be available on the internet. Thank you.
So one of the contributing factor as to why we are progressing slowly to this is because I think many of the organizations, they don't see the benefit, or they don't have I don't know whether they don't see or they don't have the idea as to what they have. Their businesses have in it, the domain names. So I think it's important to get these business organizations to come on board and, do some awareness or train them as to what they can get or gain from this. This is from experience. Thank you.
And I can add to that based on some of the experience with the Caribbean in terms of countries looking to get greater adoption of the country codes. It really takes a very deliberate effort and strategy to create a value proposition for businesses, to see the usefulness of having a .vu or .tv or any one of the domain names that don't have the same visibility as the more popular domain names. And for that to happen, that value has to be created first locally, associating or using the same techniques that brands use to create value, seeing it next to things that people care about, seeing it used in context that people appreciate and value. And that is something that different papers are available on to help shape the kind of strategies that can work. But it also requires a lot of community engagement,
So I want to give a classic example. So the Panama, this is one of the province. So Panama wanted to have a Panama.vu, but at the same time they would ask, the Secretary General went and asked, okay, why should we have the Panama.vu? What's our benefit in it? And who's going to give us the okay on the Panama.vu? What kind of regulations or policy guideline is there to guide us through? So these are, this kind of challenges that we are going through. So I think it's important for us leaders, not just the ICT people like DCT and regulator, it's for all leaders of the government institutions and the businesses to see the benefit of these domain names. Thank you.
And thank you. And let's just thank the panel for the contribution that they've made to this morning's conversation. Let's give them a round of applause. Appreciate it. I'm going to wrap up this morning's session, which I hope was useful to you all. And I think it is worth pointing out that a lot is happening. It's just not always visible. It's not always obvious, but there are very real and very serious actors working across the country at the national level and across the region to ensure that the Pacific has its place in the global internet fully and properly secured. So we're not just drafting strategies, we're implementing them. And one of the things that conversations like these are designed to do is to give us a clearer sense of where the focus, where the investment, and where the attention needs to be directed with greater deliberation. The piece that requires the most deliberate investment right now, and I'm sure you heard it in all of the speakers, the piece that requires the most serious and significant investment is the human architecture. Because these things aren't going to be moved magically by simply deploying technology. Humans decide if they take up a a local country code domain name. Humans decide if they use the internet for good purposes versus bad purposes. Humans decide if infrastructure is built out in a way that benefits local context and local conditions. And therefore, humans, people, the community needs to be participant in conversations that direct and shape their future. And that is what we want to see, the regulators, the governance practitioners, the community advocates who can translate the technical frameworks into decisions that serve people and who can represent specific interests in global fora where the rules of the internet continue to be written. If we are not there, if we don't have a voice, the rules will be written anyways. And so what you're hearing from all the speakers is that, hey, since these things impact us, we need to have that voice. We need to have those positions. We need to have that say. And so I hope this session on internet governance, the organizations that provide the support in the background, these behind the curtains, invisible institutions, and your part in intersecting with their work in your everyday life, I hope that came out really strongly this morning. I hope you also understand the important role that organizations like the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization play in bringing the right stakeholders together and ensuring that they stand alongside, not above, alongside the organizations that work at the national and regional level to get us all to this promised future that the technology offers us. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you and hand over to our MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our facilitator, Mr. Bevel Wooding. Very insightful and interesting session this morning. And thank you. A round of applause for yourselves as well for all the questions and all the engagements and for staying through to the end of the session. We're going to take a short break, 20 minutes coffee break, and we can continue these conversations over coffee. For those of you who were here yesterday, you already know where we're having coffee. It's in the room, just on the other side. So let's keep the conversations going till 10:20 for the next session. Please be back on time. I would like to take this moment to once again recognize our sponsors and express our sincere appreciation to all our valued partners and all our valued sponsors: Prima, Computer World, Vodafone, Digital, Bank of the South Pacific, the National Bank of Vanuatu, Bread Bank, PaceNet, PACNet, and the Telecommunications, Radio, Communications, and Broadcasting Regulator for your continued support in making this roadshow a success. I don't know, I'm going to leave it open for any of the sponsors who have something to say. 30 seconds, 1 minute, you can just come up to this. Is there any of the sponsors in the room? Any of the sponsors in the room who wants to say something? Well, in the next session, we would have opportunities to have our sponsors say something, to say a word, but we recognize you, we thank you, and we appreciate your support. So please, thank you for that round of applause for our sponsors. And let's break for coffee and be back here at 10:20. Thank you.